world. When I first saw Naomi, I just thought, I knew that she was going to be like a winning ticket.
Naomi and Linda Evangelista, a rivalry so fierce, so political, it turned backstage whispers into front-row power plays. Hello everyone, welcome to Velvet Mirror, where we reflect and break down the most iconic moments and stars. In this Supermodel series, and to start with the blueprint, Naomi Campbell.
Gangster, warrior, buffalo soldier, beauty.
She's a self-made cyclone of energy, style.
She is the only one among her 90s supers to continue working, and she is giving the young girls a run for the money. She is the most searched model and a prominent presence every year at the Met Gala. Today, we're stepping into the fierce world of fashion's most unmovable force, Naomi Campbell. We are going to discuss the holy trinity of supermodels, Naomi's discovery, her early struggles, and her moments both legendary and controversial that cemented her legacy. The Naomi, the Linda, the Christy. They were fashion's holy trinity in the 90s, glamorous, flawless, and terrifying to every casting director, and an industry desperate to break them apart. Spoiler alert, they couldn't. Naomi was fire, Linda the chameleon, and Christy the graceful diplomat, often seen as the serene balance between the two. The industry didn't just book Naomi and Linda, it pitted them against each other. Who opened the show? Who got the final walk? Who earned more? Every runway became a silent battle, every photo shoot a power play, not by choice but by design. And behind the scenes, the most watched tension in modeling history, because you, the media, love to make a good story. But the Trinity stood united, demanding equal pays when aligned together, and the fashion world had no choice but to agree. She once spoke, and I quote, "Designers didn't book me for a show because I was black," and how Linda and Christy stepped up for her. They told Dolce & Gabbana straight up, "If you don't take Naomi, you don't get us." This was a testament of their sisterhood. But Naomi's next feud? It wasn't subtle. And it wasn't backstage. Grab your popcorn and strap your seats, cause the ride is just getting started, and yes, it's gonna be amazing. Naomi Campbell was born in London in 1970 and raised by her mother, a professional dancer. She never met her father. While her mother toured Europe with a dance troupe, Campbell lived with relatives, and she often described feeling the sting of abandonment. At just 8 years old, Naomi danced in Bob Marley's 1984 Is This Love video, her first glimpse of the camera. By age 3, she was already training in ballet. When Naomi was 15, an elite model management scout spotted her window shopping in Covent Garden.
Ex-model from Ford, actually, called Beth, that came up to me. She just said if I wanted to model, and I said that I hadn't thought about it. And I actually stepped aside because I thought she was talking to my girlfriend who had very long, beautiful blonde hair, and she said, "No, you." And then I took the card, I went home, my mother said, "Absolutely not." And then that was that. And then I one day snuck out, went to school, but took my mother's clothes and went to a casting for Elle magazine and got the casting, then had to come back home and explain to my mother how I got the casting. And then my mother had to consent to let me travel.
Her mother, wary of con artists, initially refused. Honestly, who wouldn't? In April 1986, still a teenager, Naomi landed the cover of British Elle, setting her on a path toward fashion history. But fashion world did not welcome her with open arms. She said, and I quote, "Adjusting to life in a new place as a black woman made things difficult. I would put my hands out many times on New York City streets, and the taxis would fly by. Then Christy would put out the hand and they would stop."
She moved to this country at the age of 16, and that's one of the most impressive things that I've ever seen. By herself, getting her own apartment, fighting for herself, making sure that other people didn't get paid more than her if they did call out, fighting with her agent, knowing she was an amazing kid.
Naomi wasn't signed to a major beauty campaign until 1999, over a decade into her career. With racism at every turn, makeup artists who didn't know how to match her skin, and magazines that said she wouldn't sell. She never received the same volume of advertising assignments or cover opportunities as her white counterparts. She once candidly stated, and I quote, "I may be considered one of the top models in the world, but in no way do I make the same money as any of them." When faced with open racism, she decided to change the face of modeling industry. She soon created her own signature. Drawing on her ballet training, she taught herself to glide in heels. A walk so fluid and powerful, it earned the name the Panther Walk. Naomi's walk? It wasn't just iconic, it was studied like science.
In modeling, you don't have your voice, but you can communicate an idea through your expressions, your body, and your movements. Naomi's mastered that.
Fashion schools slowed it down, analyzed her hip sway, her posture, her glide. Designers tailored their shows and collections around her. Now hold on to that, because this walk would soon collide with another model who had just entered the game tall, young, smiley, and about to face the full force of Naomi. Yes, we're going there, but not yet. First, let's talk about the moment Naomi stepped out of fashion and straight into pop culture royalty. 1992. A music video drops, and it's not just Michael Jackson who's commanding the screen. Dancing beside him, dripping in sweat, exuding untouchable sensuality, it was Naomi Campbell. The chemistry was so intense you couldn't blink. They barely touched, and yet it was one of the hottest videos of the decade. From that point on, Naomi wasn't just a supermodel, she was a pop culture immortality. But as the world started idolizing her, behind closed doors, Naomi was cracking. She was the center of an entire generation's first and most publicized real model feud. Tyra Banks, a newcomer, praised Naomi, idolized her. Tyra later said she would cry after shows, that Naomi allegedly made her feel like she didn't belong.
Something like that?
What did I say?
You said something like, "You'll never be me, don't ever think that you'll be me," and something like that.
I said that?
Yes.
I can't think, that's something, I'm not that, I'm very much in the, yeah, I'm very much, I know the person that I am, and I'm not someone to go and give myself away and say that to anybody. I've never said that in my life. So, but if that's what you remember, I accept that, but it's not, doesn't sound like me to people that would know.
And he said, "Tyra, I need to talk to you." And I said, "Okay." And he had a really weird look on his face. And I said, "What is it?" He says, "I have to cancel you from the fashion show."
Right.
And I was like...
And you instantly thought that was because of me?
No, I didn't. I didn't. Okay. And I said, "Why? I just did my fitting, I did everything. The show's about to start in 20 minutes. And he gave me a look and kind of did like that toward you. And I was like, okay.
What, do you ever know Johnny Versace?
And to make things messier, Tyra's walk started drawing comparisons to Naomi's own. The media often friend narratives like, "Look out Naomi, here comes Tyra." This dynamic was often created in the name, "There is only one spot available for a black model."
It does bug me that two women of the same ilk, where women of color, have to be pitted against each other, and that's something I always felt back then.
Naomi's response? She said didn't recall the moments. But then she said something that was the harshest reality of the modeling world. How envious she was of how Tyra's mother was always with her at every ramp, at every photo shoot and every casting. And it made all the difference. They were girls barely in their pre-teens, traveling, attending unsupervised after-parties filled with older, powerful men. And this left lasting impact on their mental and physical well-being. They were thrown into this world with glitter, substance and fame alone, with no one other than their agents. Navigating whispers, looks and expectations no teen should ever have to face. And let's remember, Naomi wasn't always a threat. This is where Kate comes in, the model who later joined the original 5 supermodels. While Naomi was dominating, a soft-spoken 15-year-old girl entered fashion from Croydon. Kate Moss. Too small, too shy, and while other models ignored her, Naomi pulled her close. Kate Moss said, "Naomi was one of the few girls who was kind to me. She taught me how to walk." Imagine the Naomi Campbell teaching you to walk. And Kate is not the only one.
She could walk, she could model, like none of us could. I can't tell you how many times I took lessons from Naomi, of how to work the runway.
She was always keep for new designers, new photographers and new outlooks.
I love working with young designers. I'm always looking to see who's coming, and there's a bunch coming up now. So I've supported a lot of designers when they didn't have a penny and couldn't afford to pay me, but I loved what they did creatively. And so I hung in there and believed in them.
In 2010, Naomi Campbell found herself at the center of a global controversy when she was called to testify at the war crimes trial of former Liberian president. the accusation? That he had gifted her a so-called blood diamond.
Received a diamond from
I
Charles.
didn't receive a diamond, and I'm not going to speak about that. Thank you very much. And I'm not here for that.
Did you have dinner, though, with Charles Taylor?
I had dinner with Nelson Mandela. Thank you very much.
And did his men bring you a diamond? A diamond in the rough, sort of a large diamond?
No, we're not answering these questions.
Well, we've been told that you didn't help the prosecution sort of in this very important case.
Sorry.
Thank you so much. Goodbye. I really want to be here, so I was made to be here. So obviously I'm just like wanting to get this over with and get on with my life. This is a big inconvenience for me.
For those who don't know what blood diamonds are, they are uncut, conflict-source stones used to fund brutal civil wars. Naomi admitted receiving dirty-looking stones after a dinner hosted by Nelson Mandela in 1997, but claimed she didn't know who had sent them. Now you may wonder, where did this fight come from? This refusal to bow down? Her name is Bethan Hardison. Bethan wasn't just Naomi's agent, she was her mentor, her North Star. She told Naomi early on, "They won't love you easily, but they'll never forget you." Bethan taught her to demand more, speak up, call out racism by name. Together, they sent open letters to brands that excluded models of color. Together, they refused silence. Naomi became the face, but Bethan, she was the flame.
Coalition was a little idea I had to celebrate the black fashion model because there were so many working at the time. I did it sort of so they can come together, but at the same time, teach them about how powerful they were.
Don't accept no's. I especially don't accept no's when it would be on the colour of my skin, and I still don't accept no's when it's because of the colour of my skin. Racism, and I didn't accept it. I believe, and I still believe, in finding a solution.
Going back. The arrests, the phones thrown, the permanent ban from British Airways, the courtroom appearances in Couture.
I do feel that I have nothing against the Metropolitan Police, and they've been helpful to me in many ways when I've been not able to get home or been followed home. They've escorted me home, they've helped me get into my place. So I have nothing to say bad about them. I apologise profusely to the Metropolitan Police. As for British Airways, I don't apologise. I just think they're disgusting. Some people call people bitches when they're hardworking, opinionated, and they're taking care of their own and in control of their own career. I don't care to change that because that's the way I'm going to stay, because it's also protected me in a lot of many great ways.
You have a reputation, rightly or wrongly, for being quite an angry person.
I'm not here to talk about me, I'm here to talk about balanced diversity.
No,
so I think I will finish here as I need to get back to my set and finish my TV show.
Yes, Naomi Campbell had rage. Please go easy on her in the comments. She also had trauma, addiction and rejection dating back to childhood. But here's what separates her. She never blamed anyone. She went to rehab, took accountability, evolved.
I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm a human being. I'm a work in progress. But I can own my mistakes.
People said to me, "Who is the next Naomi Campbell?" I said, "There's never going to be another Naomi Campbell."
She didn't just return to the runway, she owned it. In recent years, Naomi has shifted her focus to her community, using her platform to champion black models and designers and amplify the voices of her culture. And even today, in her 50s, she's closing fashion weeks, mentoring new models and uplifting her culture. So who is Naomi Campbell? A diva? Yes. A problem? Maybe. A result of fashion's darkest biases? Definitely. She was the first storm the fashion industry couldn't control, and the last icon to never beg for its approval. So now it's your turn. Was Naomi Campbell fashion's wild card, or fashion's most iconic diva? Let me know if I left any stones unturned. Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, subscribe, and don't forget, here at Velvet Mirror we don't just spill the tea, we stomp it down the runway. Until next time, stay sharp, stay bold, and walk like Naomi,